Hey guys, so I wanted to come in here and do a quick little demonstration of the new process that Natalie and I have been using in our businesses. I know that last week we all agreed to start using the Beachbody Business Activity Tracker, which hopefully you've been doing that because it really is a game changer. You feel so accomplished after, and there's no question of whether you did enough that day or if you missed something. It really puts your mind at ease knowing that you're moving your business forward by using that. So the other piece to that is you have to be tracking the conversations that you're having and doing follow-ups. Like follow-ups are so huge. And I used to be queen of follow-ups, and somewhere along the way I lost sight of that, and it really took a toll on my business. So I've kind of gone back to basics and combined a few different things that we have tried out over the past year or so. And I think, and I know Natalie agrees, that this new way of doing things is simplified, it's effective, and it just really makes you feel super productive when you do your power hour or when you do your little power pockets. It just really ensures that you're doing everything the most efficient way and in the way that moves your business forward the most. So I just wanted to do a quick little demonstration, and the things we're going to be utilizing are the business activity tracker, and then Asana, which is a great app-based tracking system. So there's a website and then there's also an app. So it's really helpful if you are trying to work on the go, like during your lunch break, or if you're traveling or you're in the car and someone else is driving. Like, it's really great to use on the go. And then the other thing we're going to use is the form/invite tracker that Natalie has shared in the past. And I'll share links to everything in the comments below after this video. So I'm going to share my screen to show you guys what I'm talking about. So, okay. First things first, we have our business activity tracker, right? So this is kind of your guide of how you're going to spend your power hour. This section here, section number 2, shows you what you should be doing during your power hour that are income producing activities that's going to move your business forward. So the first thing is initiating connections and adding followers on Instagram. That is a whole video in itself on that process, but it's not complicated. It's very simple. But if you have questions about that, you can ask your coach or comment below and we can get you resources for that. But this whole process I'm about to go over starts with getting new followers. And so to do that, you have to be initiating connections and adding people to your Instagram. So yesterday, let's say I did all of my follows, and then today I want to go look at my Instagram and see what new followers I've gained. From that point, you want to go to your form invite tracker, which looks like this, and I'll share the link to that in the comments below. But this is basically anytime someone follows me, I add them to this sheet. So I put their username, and then I add what stage they're in, and there's a little code up here in this description. So if I put a 0 next to their name, that means that I have not had any contact with them and I need to send them an initial message. Reaching out, I usually just say something like, hey, just wanted to say thank you for following me on my journey. And I add a little personal blurb about me and then comment on their page as well, or ask them like if they're into health and fitness too, or if they clearly see that they are, then I say like, what got you started on your journey? Something that starts a conversation with them. At that point, I change their ranking to a 1, meaning that we've already had a message and now I just need to like build the relationship more. So I'll like comment on their page like a couple days later. I basically come in here and look at that. And then once I feel like sometimes the conversation takes off and it's really easy to just sneak an invite in there because it makes sense. You're talking about fitness and it's just super natural. Sometimes you have to do a little more work and get to know them a bit more by just engaging on their page and building more trust. But once you feel comfortable to send an invite, this is where the system becomes just so awesome and powerful. When I invite someone, so say this person here, Elisa Caller, I was ready to invite her. So I send her an invite, right? Now, instead of keeping her in here, which can get overwhelming to track a lot of people, usually, ideally in here, you won't have a ton of people because these are just the people that have already followed you and you're building a relationship with. Once you send an invite, I will copy her name just right out of that cell, and I will come over to Asana. Now, Asana is very easy to set up. You don't have to overcomplicate it. I just have one project called Future Challengers, which is me just affirming these people are going to work with me in the future. And then you just list them by their name. So the basic things about it are, if I want to add a task, I just click Add Task. We'll paste her name in there. You have to make sure that you assign it to yourself. Otherwise, it won't come up in your list of to-dos. And then you want to set a due date. So what do we want to set the due date for? The way I use this is my tracking system for knowing when to follow up with people. So since I invited her today on the 25th, I would probably set the follow-up for 2 days later. Now what this allows me to do is in 2 days, I'm actually going to delete this because I don't want it in my to-do since I haven't invited her yet. But now at the end of my power hour every day, I'm going to spend just 15 minutes, whatever it says on that business activity tracker, to go through and do follow-ups. And so how I do that is I sort this entire list by due date, and you'll see that all of these people labeled today are people that I need to follow up with today because I invited them 2 days ago or whatever stage they're in. So I'll go and reopen the message conversation. If I see they've seen it, but just didn't respond, I'll send them that follow-up message that we have in the Evernote, just saying like, hey girl, I'm sorry if I messaged you at a time when you were busy, but I didn't want to assume you weren't interested. And then, that usually gets them to respond. And if it doesn't, that's okay. So at that point, I would just change their due date to maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, or even a week from now as a note to like go engage on their page to keep building the relationship and trust. If someone hasn't responded to you, it's either because they don't know you yet, they don't trust you yet, and they're still going to be watching your stuff. So you want to make sure that you're still continuing to like check in on them outside of just inviting and following up. Engage on their page. If you see something in their story, reply to their story and just kind of build that rapport so that when you invite them again in a few weeks, it's not weird. So this is just a really helpful way to track all of that that's happening so you don't miss people. Because if you send an invite and you are expecting them to respond, or you think you're going to remember to follow up with them, or you think that, oh, I'll just scroll through my inbox and see who I invited, it's not going to work. I've tried it those ways. It does not work. You are missing out on so many people if you're not tracking every invite you send. Another thing to note about Asana is that you're never going to click these checkboxes next to the name, because if you do that, they'll disappear from your to-do list and they kind of get lost. So all you're ever going to be doing with people is changing the due date so that they are constantly just changing their placement within your list of to-dos. The only time you'd ever remove someone is if they, they tell you like, stop talking to me, then you can let them go. If they convert to a challenger, then you want to take them out of here and put them into whatever system you're using to follow up with your challengers. I use Google Streak since I try to keep a lot of my like check-ins via email for my challengers, or I'll message them on Facebook. But for me, Streak works with tracking my current clients. So that is just really helpful with tracking the new people that you're forming the relationships that come into play on this Excel sheet here. And then one thing to note too is, so I invite them, move them to Asana. At that point, I want to remove them from this tracking sheet so that they're no longer kind of on my radar of people I'm forming with. They're just, now I'm tracking them in Asana. So I think it's really helpful to have these two separate things, because you know that these people are people you just are forming a relationship with, whereas these people are potential clients because you've now sent them an invite. You've invited them to your challenge group. You've invited them to coach, whatever it is. I, in the past, was using Asana for absolutely everything. So forming new relationships and tracking challengers. And that's kind of what turned me off to it, is there was too much going on to where I felt my Asana was a mess and it made me not want to work. Whereas this is very clear that the only thing that's really happening in my Asana is people that I need to follow up with about either joining a challenge group or coaching. There's a lot of other features that you can add in Asana, and I won't go too much into detail because I don't want this to be too long, but you can add notes here. So say I had been talking to Ellie and she had mentioned that she had an injury, but she really wanted to lose 5 pounds. Like I could make a note of that. That way I knew that when I followed up, I could like ask about her injury and see if maybe she wanted to focus solely on nutrition or something like that. So it's good to have those notes in there. You can also ask or mention if they had any kind of objections so that you could kind of keep that in mind when you're talking to them. So yes, very, very helpful system. Natalie and I have been doing this, and both of us agree that we just feel so much better about our business and like the time that we're spending working our business. It feels so much more productive. It's allowing us to unplug at the end of the day without being or without wondering, did we do enough today? So if you do all of these things, if you follow this business activity tracker, you do everything on here, which not including your workout, this should only take an hour. Okay, so if you're putting in an hour a day or even an hour Monday through Friday, whatever, it has to match your goals. But if you're doing that every day consistently, you're going to be successful. There's no way to not be successful if you are being consistent and showing up and reaching out to people and connecting with people. So keep that in mind, that this system is designed to make your life easier and more efficient while also still being productive and hitting the goals you want to hit. So another thing to keep in mind is if you just start this system today, it might take some time before you're seeing the success, before you're getting new challengers and getting Success Club points and seeing your business grow. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just have faith in the process. I know for me, I have not been as consistent with my business as I was a year ago, and that is reflected in my Success Club numbers. So if you're a person who's fallen off or you're a new coach, just know that it could take some time, but it's going to happen for you. Keep showing up on your social media, keep following the process, just believe in the process and keep doing it, and then the success will come. And once that ball is rolling, don't let it stop. I've been there where I've, kind of stepped off the gas a bit, and then you pay for it. It takes time to get your business going again. But if you constantly are just doing these little things every day, you're going to be successful, and it's going to get easier every day. So stick with it. If you haven't started, start now, because every day that you don't, it's just going to take that much longer. And even if you've fallen off track, now's the perfect time to get back into it, because we have systems in place, tools in place that are just going to help us all blow up our businesses. So I hope that this was helpful, and I'll share those links in the comments below, and feel free to comment if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.